Hello and welcome everybody to the third installment of Tools of the Trade. My name is Bryce and I am with West Coast Truffle Dogs, and this is just a little series we're trying to do to share some of the things that we use when it comes to truffle hunting, but it could probably be transferable most of the time to just about any outdoor sports or work that you do with your dog, really. I'm filming this outside today because it's nice, and I apologize for any of the shadows, but I'm not a professional. And the other thing I would say is you will probably hear our dogs barking, because as soon as I come outside and start opening things on the car this time of year, they start demanding to go hunting. So anyway, today is definitely a crossover day, and what I want to share with you today is going to be footwear. So we have a number of pieces of footwear here, and I'm going to talk about why they have different properties, when we would use them, and just sort of give you an overall idea of the things that myself and my wife use. Now, note that this is probably one of the most important pieces of equipment when you go truffle hunting. A lot of folks who come out to our events and walk through the orchards with us, they think about comfort, but they don't think about being dry. And this time of year, even in California, almost no matter where you are, the mornings are really damp, and there is often some degree of coverage in the orchards on the floors, and so shoes can quickly get ruined, or at least really uncomfortable. And it's even happened to us. I've worn some boots on an impromptu hunt once that were more of a Chelsea boot, and it wasn't long before I wished I had brought something else. So just keep that in mind. This is a really important piece of gear. And I will start with sort of the all-arounder. These aren't clean, by the way. They are always clean before we go and hunt orchards, and we treat them with a mixture to make sure that we're not bringing any contaminants into the orchard, but we haven't had a chance to treat these yet, so we'll do so soon. But anyway, this is your classic Blundstone. Really nice wearing boot, decent amount of support, although I have added an insole to it just to help, because my feet get sore and we walk in them a lot. Overall, a nice degree of water resistance. This little cutout here for the ankle can sometimes cause water to penetrate the boot if you're not careful, or depending on the pants that you're wearing also. We just treat these with mink oil. What I like about these is if I'm going from field to tasting room, right? So we're at an event, we're gonna be going in and talking to people. These still look nice. They don't look like I just got done running an irrigation set on the farm. They are not cheap. These are a pretty expensive boot, but I would just say something that my mom told me a long time ago: you're gonna spend a long time on your feet and a long time in bed, so invest in good shoes and a good mattress. These are a good investment. They do last a long time. Not the warmest boot, something to think about, but I would say as an all-around boot, the Blundstone is a really, really solid choice. Now for people who really care a lot about foot comfort, and have the money to invest, this is a great boot that I sort of spoiled myself on. The boot we looked at before is, probably around $150, $200. This boot is not. This boot is 2 or 3 times that. This is a collab between Birkenstock, one of my favorite feet people, and Filson. And it is both a stitched leather, hand stitched leather, and then their tin cloth that can be treated for water. It's a little higher boot, a little more protection on the foot. It doesn't have that same sort of flexible webbing around the ankle, but it does have a tin cloth. The inside is lined with a leather all the way around, so even behind this tin cloth you're getting some pretty decent weather protection. I like these when I really need a more comfortable boot in terms of footbed. The Birkenstock footbed is incredible. It's hard to beat, and frankly I'm a big fan of Filson and Birkenstock. The only thing that could have been better is this was somehow made by Volkswagen or came with an espresso machine, and it would have been a little more up my alley. I like these boots. I don't wear them. They're probably the second choice for what I'm going to show you next, just because with all the stitching and stuff, it's still hard to be fully waterproof, and I have found that the water off my feet is my #1 concern when I get started. But great boot, really enjoy it. One I like to wear a lot. A little clunkier, right? A little heavier boot, not as much of a farm to town kind of boot, but you know, something to think about. And then the workhorse of our closet, of my closet, and it wasn't what I expected, but really has become this tall muck boot. This one has a really lovely orange on the inside. You know, it's a neoprene style boot. It's actually, this high boot is actually made so you can roll it down if you need to. If you're just, you know, for whatever reason that's uncomfortable, or it's a little too warm on your leg or whatever. I typically will leave mine up, but you know, you can roll them down. And I tuck my pants into these, fully lined, waterproof. Every once in a while I'll feel a little condensation build up, probably just from sweat inside of this, because it's not the best breathable boot. I think it's probably one of the warmer of these two, so on really cold days that's also helpful because of the neoprene lining. I tend to size up at least a half size on boots, just a little aside, so I can wear a heavier wool sock, always merino wool sock, or alpaca if you can get it. This boot is a little less expensive probably than the Blundstone, you know, so maybe $150 at your favorite outdoor / gardening store, Tractor Supply maybe even, Sportsman's Warehouse, that sort of thing. But again, like, why do I go to this one all the time? It's just wash and wear. I can spray it down, I can walk through the bleach or whatever, you know, our farmers may want us to do. My feet stay dry, they slip on, they slip off. What's not great about it, they are not the most comfortable boot. The other two probably have a little bit more support, and certainly you could add in a liner to these if you want. I mean, this is your footbed. That's not awesome. Blundstones come with a couple of options, plus you can add your own. The Birkenstock / Filson one, I mean, it's Birkenstock, what more do you want? So not the most comfortable. If we're doing a lot of hunts back to back or really long weekends, I might switch out, especially if it's not too damp outside. But definitely the workhorse, and a decent footbed, decent outsole for grip. The others are probably a little grippier, but for the money, this is a hard one to beat. And what I would honestly say is, if you just needed one all-around boot for hunting, this might be your choice. If you have a little bit more money, something you know, like the Blundstone or Filson could be a good option. And then let me just show you really quickly what my wife wears. She wears a very similar boot to the Blundstone. This is an Ariat. She's also got a foot liner in here. Nice leather construction, you know, flexible ankle again, which is nice. Not super warm, which is something that she worries about a lot. So this one gets a decent amount of wear. Again, it's, you know, farm to town. And probably, you know, in that $150 plus-ish range. Here go the dogs. Sorry about that. And then the one that she goes to a ton, and it's funny how we always sort of go to one that's a little maybe down market, but is this one. It's called a Kamik, K-A-M-I-K, and it says right here, waterproof. I'm pretty sure some review reread somewhere said this is the best bang for your buck for a boot, waterproof boot. They're not that expensive. We got these at Sportsman's Warehouse. They are definitely a heavier boot. It's not a very pretty boot, and you know, that matters sometimes. But it is, you know, it's a full rubber sort of boat around the foot, and then with a leather sort of higher ankle. Here they go. And then what you get inside is basically a full neoprene bootie all the way throughout the boot. So that really helps a lot when you have issues with cold. Sorry, just spoke for something. They call it their Heat MX, but it just, these are the shoes that Aaron really loves. They're a little harder to get on and off because you got to lace them up. But ultimately what you're getting is a real workhorse that helps your feet stay warm. You get plenty of traction with these, and your feet stay dry also. All right, everybody, that's all from us at West Coast Truffle Dogs. Have a great day. Bryce out.